Adding a new immediate class, or what we call a special, which is an object whose value is represented by its object ID, small fraction. That'll be coming in 3.3, and that's good for people doing a lot of fraction math. Turns out most fractions tend to be relatively small in terms of numerator denominator, and we can store those values in the object. So the ranges are shown there for where objects will be small fractions instead of fractions, which actually are first-class disk objects and run slower. So we're adding a new special class. Faster translog restore, we've got some optimizations there, and this affects both hot standby and restore from logs, because hot standby is basically just to continue restore from tranlogs. There's some optimizations that the guy working on that has put in the last week or so. It's got about 30% improvement on that, restoring from logs. So that's already in the can, as they say. Access to Unix syslogs. This is another customer request. There's times where running on a server, they want to write messages out to the system log of Unix so that the system administrator can see kind of what's going on with GemStone along when he sees disk errors and network errors and all those things that show up in the syslog. And there really wasn't an API to do that until now. So there's now a new class going in the product called GSSyslog. It has class-side behavior to write messages according to the syslog API into the syslog, either on the VM's host, or if it's remote, the Stone's host. So that's all in the can for 3.3. Some things we're thinking about, we haven't done yet, and we're still not firm on the roadmap here totally, as you can probably tell. Native XML parsing has come up over and over again. Yeah, there's frameworks that can do it in Smalltalk, but is it fast enough? Should we just write that in primitives? Should we take one of those frameworks and incorporate it natively? We don't know yet. But it keeps coming up. We're thinking about it. Passwordless logins has also come up. Some people would like to be able to access GemStone with a certificate base instead of specifying a password. More modern ways of doing things, so we're kind of thinking about that. Real-time delays in Prof Monitor. Prof Monitor is the profiling tool again, and that primarily is concerned with CPU time currently. So if you're waiting on a semaphore for the whole time, you see very little usage, but you're going nowhere. It'd be nice to capture that, again, from a customer. More index searches. There's always more to do with indexes, as Dale can tell you. Block evaluation and message send evaluation on index pass is a harder problem, but it may be possible. So currently we only do index searches based on structural access, which means the value of an inst var, because we have to know the offset and the object to look at and so on. But what if you could do it with a block, or instead of structural access, a message send, which might be different for every object. Again, that's a harder problem, but it may be possible. GSS API integration. I just got this morning. The customer sent this in at 7:57, and it's in the slide. That's things we're thinking about, so no commitment, but it's a really interesting idea. Something called this context, which is, I guess, a message that VisualWorks has that somebody said, gee, it would be nice if GemStone had that idea so you could get the current context wherever you are. We're going to look at that. And your suggestion here, send us your ideas, keep sending us your ideas of things that you want to see in the product. We are trying to be a very customer-driven company. If you need it, we'll definitely put it on the list. Not saying we'll do it, but we'll definitely think about it hard. And it's got a good chance of going in. Our track record there, I think, is pretty good. Lastly, down to talk about some of the licensing models. We did an overhaul of this in April. Concurrent with our 3.2 release, and I think there was some consultation with the community about this that Dale drove on some of the list server lists. Basically, the issues for some of the low-cost licenses is the stair steps were too big. You went from 0 to, I forget what it was, like $15,000 like in one shot. There's nothing in the middle. And the idea of these licenses, the low-cost licenses, has always been that you grow with us and we grow with you. You start small, you get a little bigger, you buy a little more. You pay as you go, and you can start free because we have free for commercial use as well. But we want to, we're trying to grow the next Facebook here. Isn't everybody, right? But that's kind of the idea behind it. So we have the 3 classic models: perpetual, buy it once, own it forever; subscription, pay annually, or biannually or however, what increment you like, cancel any time. And we have value-added resellers or VARs as well that take GemStone embedded in their products and ship something that doesn't look like GemStone but uses it in the back. So we have all three of these happening. This is the new grid from the web page. I'm not going to go through all this, and a lot of the glass users here have probably seen this already, but this is what we changed in April. And the first column is the starter license, and that ships with the product. So when you download the zip file, you get this automatically. It's there when you download the product. And the first two steps are free, the one you download, the community one. And then the other thing we've added here that's new is actual tech support. Because some people said, the free license is great or the low-cost license is great, but, my CFO says if we're going to pay for this, we really should be getting some support with it, and we thought about this. Said, yeah, we agree. So we don't want to go, we want to manage that, so we have like a limited number of tickets here you can open and so on, but there are support options now. And the other thing to mention is these are really just guidelines. I've talked to Dan about this, and we're willing to be very creative if you want something that's kind of in between these lines a little bit. This is really just a starting place, and we're very willing to do custom agreements that fall outside of this. So call us up and talk to us if you want to do that. That's my presentation. Any questions? Georg.
You had a slide where you were showing a new kind of fraction with zero in the denominator. I found this interesting, explaining what kind of extension mathematics you use.
You don't want to see my college math grades. I squeaked by.
And a more serious question. It's good to know that you could sustain the first year. What are your plans to expand the GemStone usage market in the next 10 years?
Well, that's always a hard question. I mean, we're kind of tied to the small talk expansion, I think, in general, because we face the same issues in the market as you all do. We're really, no different. So when the community gets bigger, we incrementally get bigger by some amount, is what we've seen in the past. So we're just going to keep doing what we do, I think, is the answer right now. We don't have any radical plans or anything. We've got some very stable customers that have been with us many years, and there's no end in sight there. And as they say, a rising tide raises all boats. And I guess we're one of those boats. So. Any other questions? Oh, one here.
I'm not sure if this is a good question, but you emphasize for most of your points that were customer demands.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because we're very responsive to our customers.
So you want to emphasize that point, yeah.
We think our customers know the product usage much better than we do, because with very few exceptions, most of the guys in Gemtalk have not written a lot of applications in GemStone. I'm one of the exceptions to that, because I came from a customer back in the 90s, and James Foster also worked in the field. But we're constantly amazed by what customers suggest and looking at ourselves saying, why didn't we think of that? I mean, that makes so much sense. But when you're not building applications, right, you're building infrastructure and so on, you don't think quite the same way. So I hope that answers it. Yeah.
I was curious I guess it was what VMware thought of GemStone, just sort of what they were getting, and were they intrigued by the kinds of things that you were doing, and also what's happened with the Ruby product.
Two questions. Okay. VMware is an interesting story. They understood part of what we did, but not all of it. Obviously, they're a virtualization company, so the term virtual machine made a lot of sense to them. So they really liked that part. But what they're not, and I think they would tell you, is they're really not a data company. The data management stuff really just didn't resonate with them. And if you look at what they've done in the last couple of years, they've moved all their data management acquisitions off to this thing called Pivotal. which is a wholly owned sub of them and EMC as well, because they really didn't know how to deal with it, and they had so many acquisitions around 2012 that trying to do the data management business was distracting them from their core business of virtualization. And they basically said, we can't do all things with everybody, so we have to move that over here. They did at that time, they inventoried all these companies they had bought and kind of decided who fit where. And there were about a dozen of them, us included, that they decided were not strategic and they wanted to find a new home for. And that's kind of how we got to where we are with Gemtalk. And Dan helped negotiate the spinoff. It's been very good for us and so on. But we were certainly not the only ones. Like I said, there was about a dozen companies that they basically just said, don't fit anywhere, and we got to move them out. So that's that. On the Ruby product, maglev, we are not pursuing that commercially right now. There are some talks going on within some of the Rubyists in the Portland area of doing something with maglev in conjunction with us, where they would do the work to get it to possibly support Ruby 1.9. We looked at that market and said, there really just isn't enough money here for us to pursue this right now in the enterprise, or for potentially paying customers to make a business out of Ruby. And being a 13, 15 person company, we have to be very picky about what we spend our time on, because we don't have that much of it. We do have the rights to that. We got that from VMware. So there may be some community efforts going on to bring maglev forward in the future, pending some more conversations. But anyone else? Okay, thank you.